never been my primary target when I teach, either whether it's my clinic or in webinars, whatever. This is like a very rare training, but you understand it's because I know that I know that I know from all the years of experience and working with thousands of people that when you know how to release the toxins, the weight comes off. And I'll show you what we could do about that. And then rebalancing your emotions, as we talked about, right? All right. So let's talk about specifically the tips and tactics for breaking your sugar habit. What are you going to do? We got 8 of them that I'm going to share with you. So first off, you're going to eat low sugar foods all day long. Okay, so that's like a no-brainer. Well, what is low sugar foods? Okay, it means, you know, the fruits are an issue. So many times, picking on my mom who's 81, she loves to have her apples and she loves to have bananas and grapes, and I'm like, Mom, I think, and she's struggling with weight. Like she's 5'2", 142 pounds. Not really bad, but she's worried. She's always been like 130, 135, and she's starting to get that belly fat. And she keeps calling me every week, literally, what else can I do? Give me something else I could do. So I did, and I have helped her through that. And so she says, oh, I lost 2 pounds. I feel better already. I'm like, okay, great. So keep going, Mom. But the biggest thing is that fruit, right? So she was eating, instead of grabbing a cookie, she thought she was doing really good by eating a bunch of grapes. Well, grapes are very, very high in sugar. And then I told her that. And she said, well, what about banana? Because it's high in potassium. I'm like, yes, but again, it's high sugar fruit. So the best thing to do is the green smoothies. And this is what I told my mom as well, is get a little almond milk. And she did. She changed it over, and she is like, you know, I like this almond milk. It doesn't taste that bad. The vanilla flavor is great. I was like, great. I'm happy, Mom. I'm so glad that you're doing this. And so then she would do that, and then she would get some green powder. And you know, so many people ask me which one, and we're going to relaunch a green powder at the end of this month, and I will share that with you. But for now, just get whatever green powder that you have in the health food store that looks good, that has a lot of spirulina in it, and then just mix it up in the almond milk in a blender, and that's it. That's simple. And drink it at least 2 to 3 times a day. Now, the reason you drink it throughout the day, because your blood sugar will take roller coaster dips, and when that roller coaster goes down, okay, imagine the roller coaster going down, that is when your blood sugar goes down and you're craving something, and you start maybe feeling a little bit lightheaded, maybe you get a little bit irritable, maybe you get a little moody, maybe you get a headache, okay, and you know you should reach for something. You should like have a real meal, but you don't have time because you're working, you're running to pick up the kids, you got to go get your mother, you got to go take care of your husband, your wife, you know, whatever the reason, you just don't have the time. So that's when it's important to go ahead and have a green smoothie and have it in a jar, put it in your thermos, shake it up, and drink that down. It's a huge help. The number two tip is to make sure that you hydrate yourself, right? So when you are going through your breaking your sugar habit, you want to make sure that you're getting enough liquid. And you know, people are always like, yeah, I drink a lot of water. Well, make sure that your urine is not dark yellow and that your urine is a light or pale yellow. Okay, so that's very important. You know, and you could do X amount of water. I know there's different formulas out there, but I've just found watch the color of your urine, and then you know that you're really getting hydrated enough. Now, the number 3 tip is using stevia. Stevia is when you want something sweet. Stevia is a plant with sweet leaves, and they actually now use the root as well. It's very low carbohydrate, low glycemic sugar, that doesn't cause any problems in case you have maybe candida issues or maybe you have fungus issues. Stevia definitely doesn't add to that. You could add, it's very sweet. It's one drop of stevia, liquid stevia, is equal to 600 teaspoons of sugar. Wow, that's like a lot, right? So it's a 1 to 600 ratio. So it's got a very unique flavor. So when you think, oh, I'm going to have something different than sugar, and I'm going to have something that is good for me, and then you taste it, it's like, oh, I don't know if I could do this. Yeah, because it is. It's a very different flavor. And I understand that. But if you mix it, now here's a simple sweet drink recipe, is you add a drop or two of stevia. You could get liquid or you could get it powder. And then you add it to water, and then you add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. This is what I put my mom on because she didn't like just the straight apple cider vinegar. So add a little bit of stevia, and then the apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon to water. You drink that down. Bam. You just like, wow, that's like something different, something good, and you feel good. And the apple cider vinegar is helping as well. All right, so more solutions. Eat sour and fermented foods. This is really the trick of the trade. When you crave sugar, you hit it with the opposite. You eat sour and fermented food like sauerkraut, like kimchi. Foods that give you a blast of probiotics and nutrients will cut that sugar craving. Now, when you are going to the health food store, make sure you look for unpasteurized sauerkraut, or make sure that you don't have anything that is conventional, right? So very easy to do. And of course, lemons are simple. I teach that all the time. You take a fresh lemon, you put it in your quart of water, and you drink that down all throughout the day. Sour fermented foods throughout the day will help. Tip number 4 is take probiotics. So when your gut bacteria is out of balance, okay, because of the chemicals, because of poor food choices, because of stress, we crave sugar. And probiotics, of course, helps to replenish your intestinal flora and restore the balance in your gut system. So they help tip the scale back towards good bacteria and away from the bad, like the fungus and yeast. So take about 2 capsules, 2 in the morning on an empty stomach, 2 in the evening on an empty stomach, and that's where I would encourage you to start, because that will start getting the healthy bacteria in. Now, which kind and how much? Again, the variety is the important. I don't promote any one particular brand, but get a probiotic that has a variety in there. That will make a huge difference. And then tip number 5 is eat more fiber. Okay, so fruit, yes, but high fiber fruit, right? So that would be like a sour apple would be great. Berries are fantastic. So your raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries are great. That's about it. Not too much on the other fruits unless it has high fiber. Maybe some papaya or mango is good. But not too heavy, just the ones that are high in fiber. And then psyllium. Psyllium is an herb that has been around forever, and you could take a teaspoon of that, mix it in water. And what fiber does is slows those when you go on a roller coaster, we're back on the roller coaster, and your blood sugar goes down and then it comes up, right? So when it comes up because you just ate, or because you had too much fruit or whatever you had, you take psyllium, and that slows it down and stabilizes your blood sugar so you don't have cravings later, right? So you're having sugar, doesn't matter what kind, and you're going to go down, you're going to come up, but the psyllium, the fiber, will help to actually stabilize it. We'll talk more about some other things you can do to stabilize it. So some more solutions. Tip number 6 is eat quinoa. I don't really recommend eating, well, I never recommend eating pasta. Pasta is like a big no-no because it's very hard to get into your system, break it down without causing a blood sugar spike. So pasta is no, and brown rice and all that, they're okay and they're better. But out of all the grains out there, I highly recommend quinoa. Quinoa it's easy to use. It's got a nice flavor to it. You could cook it up in 20 minutes, and you could add it to your vegetables and all that stuff, and it's great. So quinoa is the best grain for helping to crave your sugar cravings. And then tip number 7 is eating raw nuts. Now, raw nuts, you have to be, of course, be aware that just a handful is all you need. So almonds, Brazil nuts, walnuts, pecans, just a little bit is fine. You don't want to go I had a client one time who she, again, was trying to lose weight, and she was working out, but she wasn't losing it, and she was getting frustrated, and she had that belly fat. And so we went through her diet again. She admitted that she had been having, because she knew raw nuts were good, well, she was having like almost a pound a day. She was having a tremendous amount. And so we had to cut that back to just a handful, and that was fine. Tip number 8 is add smoothie boost. So remember I was telling you about having the green powder and with the almond milk. Well, you could also add a teaspoon of chia seeds. Those are great. maybe coconut oil. It's a natural fat that will help to satisfy you, and just 1 tablespoon is all you need. Or, well, we mentioned the green powder with spirulina. And then ground flaxseed, having ground flaxseed that is fresh, it's got the fiber in there, it's got the omega-3, 6, and 9s, is fantastic. Or apple pectin, 1 tablespoon of apple pectin. That's the one, that's my go-to. I like apple pectin. I like the fiber. I like the taste. It gives it a nice flavor to my smoothie. And it just all helps to eliminate that sugar craving. So any one of those, not all of them, but just, if you're going to do a boost, go ahead and just add one, and we'll go from there. Step number 2 is your detox menu plan overview. So I have talked a lot about detox menu plans, and we're going to just do an overview of what you need to do to help you lose that belly fat, feel good, and make sure that you're on the right track. So first things first is add. I love to add food and not take away. So adding food is very important. Your veggies, your fruits, your proteins are all great. So let's break it down and get into it. So breakfast is where you got some choices. So these are the choices that I recommend. You could have some fresh berries, your raspberries, your blueberries, your blackberries, your strawberries, right? All those can be done. That's normally what I have. I have that in a green smoothie. That is my go-to. And yes, I do have weight issues if I'm not careful. I had emailed you guys to let you know a little bit that I had at one point been a size 14 pant size when I was working my clinic, and I was in my 30s. And I've always been an athlete. I've always been very, very thin. And the weight was in my belly, and it was so frustrating. So I was really like looking and trying to figure out what the issue was. It was a gut issue, it was a gallstone issue, and sure enough, yeah, I was stressed out. I was working 70, 80 hours a week at the clinic, trying to save the world, or at least my part of the world, and ended up having that weight in my stomach mostly, and it was frustrating. So the stress was an issue, so I had to learn to deal with the stress, which I did. And then I dealt with emotions issues. I had a very horrible divorce, so I went to get some counseling. I did therapy. I read books. I went to support groups. I did whatever it took to get rid of that, which I did. And then also I made some changes, right? I made some diet and lifestyle changes. And then I went through menopause pretty early, actually. I went through menopause in my 40s. I believe it was the trauma of everything I had been going through in the last few years. So I had early menopause in my 40s and said, okay, now I look at food and I gain weight. I look at food and I gain weight. And I'm like, this is insane. Like, I've never had a weight issue in my whole life. And so I had friends who were my associates, and I said, all right, this was back before the hormone issue was really as prevalent. This was quite a while ago. And so I sat down with them and came up with a game plan. And the game plan is to make sure that just exactly what I'm teaching you, I practice and it works. And so now my weight is stabilized. I'm 5'7", 130 pounds. And not skinny winny, but certainly no weight issues either. My stomach is flat, feels great. Not 100% flat, but I feel good. And so this works. It works for me, and it works for everybody else that I teach. So it all makes sense, right? You don't want to go crazy diet stuff. You want a program that's going to get you where you need to go and not have to worry about all the craziness of diets. That doesn't work. I never did diets myself. I just knew that the emotions and the changes and the trauma that I've been through were causing the issue. So I hope you're getting that message loud and clear. That's the message I want for you guys. All right, so berries, we said, and having a green smoothie. That would be almond milk and a tablespoon or a scoop of the green smoothie, and then a bowl full of berries. That's first up. And then the next breakfast that I have a couple times a week and I put my people on are eggs, and then having a fresh pineapple is great. You could also have it with fresh berries. You can have it with Ezekiel toast, but again, when you look at food and you gain weight, you're like, okay, carbs have to be smart carbs, and carbs that are not going to put on weight and cause problems, right? And so belly fat is usually an issue that carbs are an issue that has to be dealt with on some level. So that's why I say do eggs and pineapple, which is a type of carbohydrate actually, but it's not a heavy carb like having a whole grain piece of toast even. Okay, so that would be a great combo. Green apples and nut butter, that's a very